If someone walks up to you in a party and asks, "So, what do you do for fun?" your brain might immediately freeze and go completely blank because you will answer, I don't know, I watch YouTube. That is a very profound mental intelligence. You aren't introverted, you aren't shy, you're just socially uneducated. And before you get defensive, relax, I'm not calling you out to be mean. I'm telling you this because for years, I and you were probably exactly the same guy. Many used to think charismatic people were born with some kind of a secret or a genetic cheat code to become so likable and such a leader type person. Unfortunately, they weren't. The brutal truth is that most people drift through their entire lives without ever learning how even the bare minimum mechanics of communication or even witty communication exists. They treat talking like a job interview or a police interrogation, and then they wonder why people glance at their phones or make excuses to walk away. Today we are fixing that. We're throwing out the dry, fake politeness, and I'm going to teach you the actual unwritten laws of witty banter. No scripts to memorize, no fake pickup artist garbage, just simple mechanics of how an interesting human being communicates. Let's take an example on why it's important to be witty. Imagine you're a scholar student going to college. There was this networking event. You had spent the whole afternoon reading articles given by, of course, everyone's trusted ChatGPT on how you can make good impressions on people. All it said was be polite, ask questions, and show interest in what they say. So what do? You stood near the snack table, found a group of normal people, and you joined as the abnormal one and proceeded to interrogate them like they pickpocketed your wallet. Where do you work? How long have you lived on this planet? What is your major? Do you have children? Are you a human being? Within 4 minutes, you drained every single milligram of dopamine out of their circle. You can literally see the soul leaving their souls. They weren't even having a conversation with you. They were taking a verbal survey. Eventually, one guy mumbled something like he needs fresh air and let out a massive escape from you. Standing there holding your plastic cup of mango juice, you're probably thinking, man, they just can't feel my aura. That is probably a lie. You are the most auraful person. However, you are still a person who was using normal communication. And normal communication is a disease that should be forgotten. So now I'm gonna tell you the difference between normal and witty and the 5 unfair benefits. Let's look at the differences real quick. A normal conversation is like a transaction of information. Person A says, the weather is cold outside. Person B replies, yes, it might be freezing tonight. Person A says, I agree with you, and the conversation ends. Do you understand what happened? Me neither. They just said cold weather, yes, okay, and the small talk is over. Normal communication is defensive. It's driven by a deep, pathetic fear of being judged. So both people stay perfectly safe, perfectly polite, and completely unmemorable. Witty communication, on the other hand, is a shared playground. It isn't about being a professional stand-up comedian. Wit is simply spontaneous creativity. It's looking at a topic from a slightly weird, unexpected angle, breaking the rules of the boring politeness and inviting the other person to play along. When you learn how to do this, even at a basic level, 5 unfair advantages will happen in your life. Number 1, you might experience zero anxiety because you stop fearing silence, because silence is just prep time for you to set up your next move. You will also build instant trust and rapport within 30 seconds. Sometimes you'll even make inside jokes with them. You skip the 3-week getting to know each other phase and move straightly to the unfair opportunities such as job, dates, business deals, and friendship. People don't hire or hang out with the most qualified person on the paper. They hire the person who makes them feel alive when you talk to them. It gives you the freedom to be yourself. You can finally stop censoring your personality behind a wall of fake politeness or hiding yourself, because with the extra confidence, you can witfully express yourself. And it also brings effortless magnetism. You stop chasing people and people naturally start gravitating towards your orbit because you're the only person in the room who isn't boring them to death. So how do you actually do it? Grab a pen and paper or sit back and pay attention. Here are the unwritten rules of witty banter. Law 1. Never speak or ask in absolutes. This is the fastest conversation killer in existence, and 90% of the people do it constantly. An absolute statement or a question forces a definitive, rigid judgment. For example, what's the best movie you've seen? Or who is your favorite artist? Notice what happens to the other person's brain when you ask that. They panic. The best? Oh man, movie? Do I say the classic like Godfather so I sound smart, or do I say Shrek 2 because I actually love it? Now they're thinking, analyzing, and feeling judged. The conversation grinds to a halt. The fix is to switch to non-absolutes. Instead of what is the best game you've ever played, ask what are some decent games you've gotten hooked on lately. Instead of what's your favorite place in the city, ask what are some decent, cool random spots you ended up hanging out at. Non-absolute removes the burden of perfection. It opens the door for a relaxed answer without the fear of being tested. Law 2, on the other hand, is the holy trinity of responding: HPM, SBR, and EDR. When someone speaks to you, normal people just wait for their turn to talk and say the most blabbering thing in existence, while witty people can have a system for it. The first system is HPM: history, philosophy, and metaphor. With history, you reply with a personal memory or an opinion about your past, such as that reminds me of this chaotic road trip I took in 2019. For philosophy, you share a personal stance or a take, such as honestly I think public pools are just giant waste of energy. Metaphors connected to something completely unrelated to steer the vibe away. That sounds less like a job interview and more like a hostage negotiation. The next system is SBR: specific, broad, and related. This is how you explore their side. Specifically, you zoom into tiny details about what they said. Broad means you zoom out of the bigger picture, such as asking about details they didn't mention, and related means you pivoted to a connected topic. System 3 is EDR: emotion, detail, and restatement. This is how you validate them. Emotion means naming the exact emotion they felt, such as you must have been horrified. Detail is to ask about their physical experience. Restatement is summarizing what they said in a funny, dramatic way and hand it back to them. And while you're doing this, use free association. If someone says, I absolutely love water parks, even if you have never been to a water park in your life, you don't say, oh cool, I've never been, that's a dead end. You free associate by finding related words. You know, water parks, people swim there. Wait, what if there are fish? Wait, fish can give chlorine, and swimming is also exercise. So you can say, wait, were there actual fishes swimming with you, or just sticky toddlers? Are you a world-class swimmer, or did you just go for some exercise? Now you're playing a catch, not conducting an interview. Law 3 is to break the fourth wall and build us against the world dynamics. Here's the secret about human psychology. People love inside jokes. When you create an inside joke with someone, you initiate a signal called you and I are the only two sane people in this room, and everyone else has gotten slightly crazy. How do you do that? By breaking the fourth wall of the conversation. Most people act like there's a script they have to follow. If there's an awkward silence, they pretend not to notice while dying inside. A witty person comments on the conversation itself from the outside. If silence hits, don't sweat it. Smile and say, so are we in the awkward 5-second silence part of the night, or we are just dramatically building up tension before one of us says the most mind-blowing thing in existence? And boom, all the wall is broken. You both laugh, the awkwardness vanishes because you named it. And to make this even smoother, use boundary statements right at the start. If you walk up to someone new, their first instinct is, oh no, how long is this guy gonna talk to me? Lower their guard immediately by setting an explicit boundary. Hey, I only have about 3 minutes before my friend drags me away to look at the courts, but I had to ask you. By giving them an out right away, you remove all the social pressure. They relax, open up, and ironically end up talking to you for 20 minutes. Law 4, the strategic pivot: thought experiments and double explanations. What happens when a conversation stalls out or someone is way too shy to give you a real answer because they're afraid of something stupid? You use thought experiment. Don't ask them what they think about a real heavy topic. Ask a hypothetical. Okay, hypothetical question. Just because I was randomly wondering this on the drive out. If you had to steal a penguin from the zoo tonight, what is your exact plan to get past security? Notice what the sentence does. It gives them complete immunity from judgment. It's not a test, it's a game. You're giving them permission to be absurd, funny, and creative. And when someone asks you what you do, never give the flat, boring answer. Use double explanation. Normal person being asked what you do would say, I'm an accountant. A witty person would say, I move numbers around on a screen until rich people stop crying, until their bank balances increase. A normal person might say, I'm a lawyer. A witty person says, I get paid to argue with people professionally until they go to jail. Give them the funny, proactive summary first, let them laugh and ask, wait, what? And then give them the actual detail. Master the witty comeback and a good-natured teasing. Now, for the fun part, teasing. The difference between friendly teasing and harassment, it comes down to one simple rule. Never tease someone about some things they cannot change. Never tease about deep personal choices, religion, politics, or insecurities. Always tease about superficial choices, quirky mannerisms, or obvious funny mistakes. And when you tease, use absurdity and agreement and amplification. If someone says to you, man, your taste in movies is absolutely terrible, a defensive, boring person says, no, it's not. Interception is a masterpiece. Boring, now it's an argument. A witty person agrees and amplifies it, saying, honestly, terrible is an understatement. My movie taste is phenomenal. I can watch a 90 minutes documentary on grass growing and rate it 5 stars. You take their critic, hijack it, blow it up to a ridiculous level and hand it back to them. You show that you take yourself so unseriously that their words can't hurt you. That is pure charisma. And if you interrupt someone or the conversation gets derailed, don't get salty. Use the most powerful, humble reset line in human language. Sorry, what were you saying before I rambled on? Bringing the spotlight back to them with genuine humility instantly makes you the most respected person in the room. And now finally, look, I don't expect you to walk out of this video, get 5 girlfriends and a harem, have 50 best friends to ask $1 million from, or bribe the cop for pickpocketing them. That is not the goal. Your goal is to stop living your life on autopilot, to stop letting fear keep you in a safe, boring zone of cold weather today, huh? Being yourself doesn't mean staying introverted and shy. Being witty is just giving your true self a voice and freedom to speak. So here's my bet to you. Starting tomorrow, pick one law from this video. Eliminate absolute questions for the next 24 hours, or use one boundary statement when talking to a stranger, or throw out one absurd hypothetical thought experiment to a coworker. Try it once, watch how their eyes instantly light up. Watch how the energy in the room shifts from dreary job interview to an actual connection. Try it once and leave a comment telling me if I was wrong. Or if you've just found this video corny, comment it down below. I'll reply with a witty comeback. Go talk to someone, bots. I'll catch you in the next one.